It wasn't raining, those were my tears after I saw that you are not subscribed to my channel. Life can be very sad at times. Now let's continue with the good news. Today I will show you how to knit a tie on the Passap. First, make sure the racking handle is in its upper position. Raise 40 needles on the front bed, 20 to the left and 20 to the right side of 0. Place the edge springs on the last working needles. Now raise the opposite 40 needles on the back bed. Use the orange ruler and arrange the needles in 1-to-1 division. Move the edge springs on the last working needles. Set both locks to N and the stitch size to 3. Insert the orange strippers and take the yarn. I will knit the tie with cotton yarn. Knit 1 row. Set both locks to CX and increase the stitch size to 4. Now knit 2 rows. Set both locks to N, increase the stitch size to 5 and knit 1 row to finish the cast on. Clear the row counter, set the front lock to AX, increase the stitch size to 6 and press the left arrow key. Set the back lock to GX. Now remove the orange strippers and insert the black ones. Remove the edge springs and transfer all stitches from the back bed to the empty needles on the front. Place the edge springs on the last working needles and put all needles on the back bed out of working position. Rotate the racking handle clockwise to its lowest position. Raise pushers under all needles in working position. Use the orange ruler and arrange the pushers in 1-to-1 division. Now knit 6 rows. After each row, tap on the needles to tighten the yarn. If you have a cast-on comb, you can attach it after knitting the first row. It will be useful for making this project. Also, don't rush when knitting the first few rows, move the lock slowly. Don't clear the row counter, move only the NX lever to N and knit 6 rows. If you don't have a cast-on comb, at this point you can lower the front bed and attach weights to the knitting. Move the NX lever to X and knit 6 rows. Now move the NX lever to N and knit 6 rows. Now we have knitted 36 rows, move the lever to X again. Remove the edge springs and take the double-decker tool. At each end on the front bed, move the end stitches 1 needle in. Put the empty needles and pushers out of working position. Now you have to repeat these 36 rows again. First, knit 6 rows with the lock set to AX. Move the lever to N and knit 6 rows. Then again knit 6 rows with the lock set to AX. Continue knitting the same way until you reach the next row count. Now you can see the row counts in the video. In my case, I need to knit to row count 72 and decrease 1 stitch at each end. Don't clear the row counter, just prepare the lock for the next 6 rows. The decreases are made the same way. Use the double-decker tool and transfer the two end stitches one needle in. Then move the edge springs and put the empty needles and pushers out of working position. Now the tie should look like this. I have knitted the first 360 rows. Now clear the row counter and move the NX lever to X. Remove the edge springs and make the last decreases. You can support me by liking the video and leaving me a comment below. After you make the last decreases, you must have only 20 needles in working position. Now continue knitting in the same pattern, 6 rows with the lock set to AX and 6 rows with the lock set to N. You have to knit 270 rows in that pattern. If you want to make the tie longer, you can knit more rows, but make sure to knit the last 6 rows with the lock set to AX. Set the front lock to N and increase the stitch size to 7. Set the back lock the same way, the lever to N and the stitch size to 7. Remove the black strippers and insert the orange ones. Now raise 20 needles on the back bed. You have to observe the needle rule. Place the edge springs on the last working needles. Knit the last row and lower the front bed. Now use the yellow tool and make a zigzag latch cast off. Raise the front bed and take off the weights. Move the edge springs, raise the needles all the way, then pull them down to remove the knitting from the machine. That's the tie right after you take it from the machine. You can use both sides as a right side. I will use the purl side for this one. Fold it in half and sew it. And that's my tie. Do you like it? Tell me in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day and see you in my next video.